Chris Masters was like the secret MVP of the whole India tour, like because he had heat with everyone, but like not real heat, but just like sort of fun heat with everyone, because all he had to do was that stupid master lock thing for so long. So he was just arsing off and just like being a goof and annoying everyone and stuff because he didn't have to do anything. All he had to do was a stupid master lock thing every day. So we just started. I pulled the greatest rib, one of the best ribs I've ever pulled. I pulled on Chris in India. So this is a funny story. So so remember the Indian little person?
Yes.
Right. We all called him Indian Hornswoggle. We had basically had to give all them all like the equivalent like WWF names. They do that spot where I think he's like, Chris is doing like the Master Lock Challenge and like Brother's holding up a sign or something, right? Saying like, pick me or something. Well, what was supposed to happen was Chris was supposed to, I think it was just a gorilla press him or something out of the ring. And he's, land on a bunch of security guards. But the idea was, it was supposed to be heat. It was supposed to be this like, oh, this terrible thing, like how dare you put your hands on a little person, sort of thing. And like the guy was supposed to sell it like he was terrified and, super upset or whatever. But they do the spot, and because it's like, he like throws him and he like lands on a bunch of people. He doesn't get, the guy just pops up, like doesn't sell it, and he's going like, suck it, and like running around like not selling it. And I was watching backstage. I'm just laughing. So I was like, this is ridiculous. This whole segment has gone to shit. But Jeff and Dutch were furious. They were just like, what the fuck is he doing? Because Jeff would get very frustrated with the Indian management, because it was like, there was a lot of miscommunication, right? And Jeff just turned around and went, what the fuck is he doing? Like he's supposed to be selling, like he's ruined the whole segment, and they're just like, oh, I don't know, I'm so sorry, like, and obviously Chris realizes like he's not selling, like I'm not getting any heat here. The guy's just like jumping around like it's all a big joke, So like he comes back, and obviously Jeff is pissed, Dutch is pissed, and Chris comes back and just kind of goes, sorry guys, no, don't worry, it's not your fault. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck, anyway. Well, we came down for breakfast the next day, and I'm sitting there with like Jeff. I think maybe I'd had to come early. Like maybe Jeff had said, hey, come early or something to go over some stuff we were doing that day or whatever. And because I remember I was sitting there with basically the booking team, but I wasn't on, but it was like, I was sitting there with Jeff, Dutch, Sanjay, Abyss. and they're talking about the fact that like the Indian little guy had like ruined this whole segment. So they were sort of figuring out how to fix it. And we're all just sort of, by this point, like they've calmed down, they're just sort of laughing about it. But then Chris comes in, and everyone was kind of enjoying the fact that a little bit, because Chris had been a little bit overbearing, a little bit like annoying to everyone. So Jeff goes, just as he walks in, like we're all sitting at the table and we see him come in, and Jeff goes to everyone, hey, follow my lead, y'all. Like that. Watch this. So like Chris gets his breakfast, comes and sits down, and Jeff's like, Chris, I'm glad you're here, buddy. I need to talk to you for a minute. And he basically says, look, as you know, things didn't really go the way they were planned yesterday with that segment, and well done. Chris is like, oh, I'm sorry, didn't he? He's like, no one's upset with you. It's not your fault. But look, obviously, kayfabe's a big deal here, and it's kind of killed all your heat. So we're gonna have to just kind of back you off a little bit and just kind of reset you. Just gonna have to just have to take you off the show for a few episodes. You know, it's not your fault. You'll still get paid, but we're just gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do while we reset you, because obviously, you know, he's kind of fucked us a little bit on that, right? Which is all bullshit. Like, they're just gonna edit it out. They're just gonna do something else. But he has Chris convinced that, like, he's off the show because, like, his gimmick's been destroyed. So he's like, and of course, Chris is putting a brave face on, like, with Jeff, you know, because he don't want to sell. He never sell. So he's kind of like, yeah, okay, I understand, man. Like, as long as you know, and he's like, no. It's like, but you can tell, like, he's gutted, right? And we're all just like, you know, Chris, he finishes and he leaves, and I'm just like, oh, you evil bastard. Like, you know. So Jeff lets this whole rib fester for like a whole day. It even moves shit around so that Chris has nothing to do that day. Just to keep, like, all for the sake of this rib. Like, this is the level that we were dealing with over there. So by the end of that day, now, you know, by the end of this day, now Chris is pissed. You know, he's like, he's really, you know, he's down in the dumps. Well, when we were at the hotel, we had this big, like, there was this big sort of outdoor courtyard area, but they really didn't want us to leave the hotel area, you know, because of safety and stuff. So they pretty much said, you know, we'll get you anything you want, you know, booze, weed, like food, whatever, just, you know, please just don't leave the hotel. So we never did. So there's a big party going on in the courtyard areas, like a pool and a fountain and stuff. So we're all hanging out back. And some of the Indian guys show up. And at this point, we're just like, oh, you know, we don't, hey, come and join us, you know, whatever, like, come hang out. And like, Barood's there, and everyone likes Barood, and like a few of the other guys, and we're, you know, we're getting to know. We know, like, we don't hate, we don't dislike, we know they just don't know any better, right? So we're like, yeah, come hang out with us, you know, like, have a brewski, you know, smoke a J, whatever, man. And then the I can't remember, Zorawar, I think his name was, the Indian little guy. And Chris is there, and he's like acting up, and, you know, and it just so happened that just as Chris had got up to go to use the restroom, just as Zorawar had come in. So Chris is like towering over him, like, what the fuck are you doing here, you little shit? Like, you know, like you better not be here by the time I get back, you know, like. It's like, bro, we're just like, oh jeez, like, calm down, Chris. So of course, like, I'm like, instead of trying to calm it down, I'm like, watch this. And I look at, I'm sitting there with Borash and Abyss, and there's, you know, there's a lot of people there, and there's nowhere to sit. There's one chair, which is the chair that Chris had just vacated. So I'm like, so I look at Borash and Abyss, and I'm like, Zoro, come over here, buddy. Like, we got you a seat right here. We got you a chair. Come and sit down. And immediately, you know, this is because there's like, everyone on the crew was so tuned into like what was good. You know, it didn't even have to say anything. Everyone knew right away what I was doing. So then we're like, we make sure that he's got a drink in his hand, and like, we've got music turned up, and I said, as soon as Chris comes back through the door, like, everyone act like he just told the funniest joke ever, and we're just like putting him over. So sure enough, Chris comes back through the door, and we're all just like, this guy, like, oh my god, this guy's the best, like, oh motherfucking Zoro, wow, you're crazy, dude, like, you're the best. And that was too much. That was too much for him. Chris comes charging over, and he just lifts him out of the chair like a child, under the arms, like, get out of my fucking seat. Like, everyone had to like jump on, hey, whoa. And then we all had to tell him, because Chris was so mad at this point, we all had to tell him, like, the whole thing's a joke. Like, we haven't changed anything on the show. Like, they're just going to cut that segment. Like, you're not, you know what I mean? Like, they had to tell him everything. And I said, no, we just set this whole thing up. And he was just like, you guys are a bunch of assholes. Like, oh.